All right, good morning. We are back at it today, and we're going to talk about how the Cold War is now going to make a turn away from just focusing on Europe and the Germany issue to being more of a global event. And this is gonna have our focus begin in this year 1949 to 1950. We want to remember that as we are entering into 1949, that the United States is feeling like it's actually containing communism in Europe. After the Berlin crisis, we have the development of NATO. So there's now a block of Western nations that are standing together to prevent the further spread of communism in Europe. The Truman Doctrine has put American voice towards interventionism against the spread of communism. The Marshall Plan is pouring billions of dollars into Western European nations to help rebuild them after World War II to stop that spread of communism in Western Europe. The United States also has the sole possession of the atomic bomb. This allows them to avoid deploying large numbers of conventional forces in Western Europe. After World War II, the fact that the United States had that weapon allowed the United States to demilitarize after the war, while the Soviet Union didn't. So the Soviet Union's greater number of soldiers in Europe was balanced by America's nuclear supremacy. But then the balance of power is going to shift. In August of 1949, the Soviet Union will detonate their first atomic bomb. This was far faster than the United States had ever predicted. It turns out there were American nuclear secrets that had been taken from the United States and shared with the Soviet Union via the Soviets' international spy network. And so the United States lost their nuclear supremacy. And this is going to ratchet up the concerns about the possibility that containment is not going to be as successful going forward. In China, the long-lasting Chinese Civil War that pitted the communists and Mao Zedong against the nationalists, the Kuomintang Party, and Jiang Jieshi is going to come to an end in October 1949 with a victory of the Chinese communists. Now, the United States initially saw communist China as independent from Moscow, and just the lack of development in China did not give the United States very much pause, even as Mao Zedong was victorious in the Civil War. Remember, from 1945 to 1949, the focus of the Cold War was set in Europe. So by October of 1949, this is only a few months after the end of the Berlin blockade and the Berlin airlift. The United States is supremely focused on what's going on in Europe and stopping the spread of communism there. So the China stuff didn't really register to the United States as a major threat. Then we see the development of the Red Scare in the United States. Now, there's actually two Red Scares in the United States. One back in the late teens and 20s when the Russian Revolution resulted in the creation of a communist Soviet Union. But in the United States, we now are going to see the rise of a second Red Scare in the late 1940s and early 1950s. Much of this is led by an American senator from Wisconsin named Joseph McCarthy, who was at the political center of this movement. A Republican senator would publicly call out the Truman administration for being soft on communism. This was a tremendous weapon he saw in future elections. We're going to see this for years to come. Just accuse your opponent of being soft on the threat of communism. This is issued in part due to the fact that the United States didn't have a strong reaction to the turn of China to being a communist nation. The Truman administration would then reverse its policy on China, now claiming that they were in fact subservient to Moscow, that communism in China was linked to communism in the Soviet Union. The United States did not then recognize the new Chinese government, and the nationalists in China nationalist China would not be recognized by the United Nations Security Council. Let me fix that for you. Communist China would not be recognized by the United Nations Security Council, while Zheng Jieshi and the nationalists, who are now holed up on the island of Taiwan off the coast of China, will continue to be the representative government of the Chinese nation, even though hundreds of millions of Chinese are not under the control of Zheng Jieshi's government. In response to this boycott, or this refusal to allow Mao Zedong and the Communist Party of China to be recognized as the government of China, the Soviet Union will boycott the UN Security Council in response, which is going to have important implications as we get to the Korean War. Following these movements, the United States National Security Council, this is a collection of leaders of the military and the Defense Department and the State Department, will draft a report that will outline the new outlooks of the United States towards the situation on global communism. This is referred to as NSC 68, and we can call it the American Total Commitment Against the Spread of Communism as directed by the Soviet Union. NSC 68 says that all communist movements anywhere in the world can be traced back to Moscow, that there was a monolithic view of the threat of communism. And this is going to shape American interpretation of communist movements for decades to come. Essentially, wherever in the world a communist party is threatening to rise or rising to power, the United States is going to view that as supported and connected by the Soviet Union. So we look back at China and the communists in China win. Of course, that must be connected to the Soviet Union, and it all must be dealt with seriously. This is going to lead to the expansion of American military and economic aid to be sent around the world to stop this spread of communist threats. And in our next video, we will talk about how that is deployed on the Korean Peninsula. We'll talk to you soon.